So we're doing another Bolt versus Lovable test. We're going to have them try to build the exact same thing side by side so you can see which one gives us the better result. So the prompt that I gave it, I can go up to the front, the exact same prompt for both, is I want to create an AI-powered prompt chaining application with the following specifications using OpenAI's GPT-4 Mini model, implement a sequential prompt execution system, with chain building interface so users can have drag and drop functionality, kind of like Zapier is my idea. So let's say you want to build a blog post generator. You could have step 1, 2, 3. First, and I have the example down here, first you would get the topic, input the topic, get keywords, take the keywords, put it into an outline, and then turn that into a blog post. So additional features, template library, etc. So I have the exact same prompt for both Lovable and Bolt, and I want to see how they do with more complicated apps. So in the past, I did like a to-do app for both of them, and people are asking for more complicated apps. So here it is, and here's the result kind of on the first prompt with Lovable and Bolt. So let's start out with Bolt, and if we look at it here, it looks like it didn't really give me any ability to actually use it first. So I'm going to say, so why don't I say I don't see any ability to actually test this yet. All I see is the attached screenshot. And then what I'll just do is take a quick screenshot. I don't want to take my face out of it. Sometimes this is helpful just to like show the AI exactly what I see. And then I'm going to go over to Lovable. So here we are within Lovable, and it looks like it gave me actually some things to do, so I can at least see if it's going to work. Let's see if I add a step. New step, it looks like I can add steps, and then it says to configure the new step to get started. So let's click configure. I don't know what, so let's say, keywords generation. I don't know what prompt template. I assume that means like the prompt. So generate keywords given the topic for SEO. It's a little buggy there, but looks okay. And then max token. So let's say, I assume if I exit out, so there we go. It's there. It's cool. I can switch the steps. See if I can switch back and I can edit. Okay. Why don't I do another step, which is going to say, I don't know if it's going to let me use the previous keywords. Also looks like I'm getting a little bit of an error, but let's say next, just really quick, and then why don't I just say blog post generation, and I'll say using the keywords, write an SEO optimized blog post. We'll have 5,000 max tokens. And then doesn't look like I can delete the step. So let's stop there. Why don't I just say, write a summary. Summarize the post. Or write a meta description. This would be something I would actually need. So write a meta description using the post. Okay. So let's see what happens. It does say it's highly recommended to use Supabase, which I can do in a second. But let's just see this first iteration. If I click execute chain. Okay, immediate fail, so I probably should have only done one to start. But let's see. Build failed. Let's try to fix it. And I'm going to pause the video. Let's go back to Bolt. Okay, so here we are in Bolt. This is actually looking kind of nice. I kind of like this, actually. But there are some issues. When this happens, I'm just going to click attempt fix, and let's see how it works to solve that. Okay, so now it's at least working. Let's edit this. Looks like I can't edit. So let me say, this is Bolt still. Please make sure editing steps works. I'm just going to switch back over to Lovable really quickly, and I'm going to say, sounds good. Let's hook up to Supabase. I think it really wants me to do that, which makes sense. I'm going to want to do that for both projects. So first we need to connect to Supabase on the top right, connect to a project, create new project. So I'm just going to say Lovable prompt chaining test. Do a password real quick. And let's create this new project. So it's just going to take a second here. And then we can go back to Lovable, and once it's finished setting up, we'll be able to connect it. So while Supabase is setting up the project, we're going to be back in Bolt. So I'm going to be going back and forth the whole time so you can see how this works. What I wanted to do, okay, so now I can edit. I like how it just made that change. So I want the final max tokens to be 1,500. Okay, so let's see what happens if I click Save Chain. Nothing happens. So let's say now I want the ability to save a chain. And we're going to have to connect to Supabase here eventually, but right now we are not. So we're just going to let it do all local storage for now in Bolt. Okay, back in Lovable, we'll connect to the project, Lovable prompt chaining. And we're just going to click connect to give it access. And I'm going to pause the video while it connects to Supabase here. So it seems like it got rid of the run prompt. So I'm going to say now I don't see any way to save or actually run this prompt. We also need to connect OpenAI with an API key. Okay. And I didn't add an API key to Lovable either. Okay, so now it says it's connected to Supabase, so now we can add features like AI endpoints. So I'm going to say, let's now add an AI connection to OpenAI so I can actually run a chain. So here it's nice. It just gives us this button to essentially add our API key. So I'm going to do that really quickly. So I just added my OpenAI API key, hit submit. So I added that. And then it just sends a message. I added the API keys you asked for. Okay, so here we are in Bolt, and it looks like it is now interesting. It lets us have variable names. I don't know exactly where those. Okay, so it creates these variables. I'm not fully sure if it's doing that correctly yet, but let's see. I'm going to add my OpenAI key and configure it. We'll see if that works here. And they did it in the front end here as opposed to the back end. Should probably connect to Supabase here too, but I'll do that in a minute. All right, so once I added my OpenAI key, now it's allowing me to run the chain. So let's see. I'll click execute. And okay, there is a result at the bottom. Interesting. But it did not actually, it didn't give me a chance to add in the variable. So why don't I say, okay, so the one issue is so it worked, but the variables need improvement. I need to be able to enter in variables before starting the chain, and also give the ability for future steps to use previous step results as a variable. Step 1, step 2, etc. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so now Lovable is telling me that it's going to work. So let me set up another chain, and we'll test it out. All right, so I just said generate keywords for the topic AI apps. There's no variable concept right now in Lovable. Looks like I can also change this and generate a blog post. So let's click execute chain. Let's see, supposedly it's doing the generate keyword one. Let's see. Okay, it did. And now, okay, and now next it said sure price. Okay, so basically it actually kind of worked, except the second one, for some reason, it's stuck on execution. So we're close. It's making some progress. So we're close. It's making some progress here. So why don't I say, okay, we need the ability to add variables to future steps based on responses in prior steps and give a final result after the final step is done. Also, let's give the ability to add variables throughout that are given in input fields above the steps. All right, so let's go back to Bolt. Well, this is working. I like how both of them are working so far, though. All right, Bolt has 10 problems, so I'm going to attempt fix, and let's see if it's able to solve these. Okay, so it says now we have global variables, which is cool. And then it says we're going to be able to reference the steps. So let's add a step. Let's add 2 steps here. Let's edit it. The one thing is well, let's see. So step 1, generate keywords using on this, and then I'll do topic and SEO keywords on this topic. Okay, I'll exit out. And then what I can do is have variable name of topic, and I'll say AI apps. And then what I'm going to do is write blog. So write blog. I'm going to pause just so you don't have to watch me do this. What I'm going to try here is, I'm assuming, because step 1 is what I named that's what I should do. We'll see if that works or not. And I'll exit out. And let's execute the chain. Okay, so that didn't work because it's still asking me what topic I want. So it didn't use that global variable. And let's see if, and this might have, I'm not sure if that worked or not. So, okay, we're close. What I want to do is have it, so let's say I don't think the global variables worked. Make that definitely be inserted into the prompt. When editing the prompt, make the prompt area bigger with maybe a button to add in variables, global variables, or previous step results. So it's easier to do so correctly. Okay. So while it's doing that, let's head back over to Bolt. So Bolt still is having a couple issues, so we're just gonna, when this happens, you just have to click, try to fix it. If you keep doing that over and over and over again and the same issues come up, then you want to try it a different way, but it seems like now it did work. So let's do what we did before. Let's copy in our API key. You can go ahead and click configure. Now it's letting me set variables. So, okay, topic and keywords, interesting. So it's automatically, it sees that I have these variables here, which is interesting and pretty cool actually. So let's set a variable, AI app builders. And the problem is the keywords here, sometimes the variable should come from the previous step. So we have to differentiate that. So let's say, let's set variables with inputs directly on the page instead of a modal. Also, be able to have variables come from the result of previous steps in addition to global variables. All right, so we're in the weeds here, but this is what it looks like as you're kind of building AI apps. All right, so here we are in Bolt. Let's enter the API key again. Then we have variables. I'm going to delete the keywords one and see what happens. So if I get rid of that, it removes it there, which is actually pretty cool. Because I want to, it says previous steps available as this. So let me copy that. In theory, that should work. And it didn't show up here on the global variables, which is cool. So let's say the topic is AI app builders. So first it should generate based on the topic, and then create a detailed outline about topic using these keywords from step 2. And then I can change the output, but let's see. Okay, so let's see what happens when I run the chain. And it's also cool that it tells me the model. That in the future we could maybe change it so the model changes based on what we want. It's executing. It looks like it got the first one, which is the keyword generation. So that worked. AI app development, no-code platforms, etc. And then outline using the keywords, which is cool because, well, yeah, blog post outline. Awesome. It seems like it worked. Actually, but to test it one more time, because it potentially could have just generated the outline based on the topic and not use the keywords. So I'm going to say, at the top of the outline, show me the keywords. Should be the same as keyword. Show me the list of keywords exactly. This is just kind of a way for me to test to see if it worked. So let me try to run that one more time. Okay, and that's what I was concerned about, is the outline here, keywords, AI app builders, and step 2. So it doesn't seem like it actually took the result. So, okay, this is close. I'm going to say this is close to working. The only issue is when I used the variable given as previous steps available as, and then I can just copy this in, step 2. The result didn't seem to actually use the result from the previous step. Can we make sure that part works? All right, while it's doing that, let's check in on Lovable. So I asked Lovable to make it so there's variable suggestions buttons above the prompt editor. So I don't see that, but let's see if I add in topic, AI app builders. If I add that as a variable and I edit this, okay, cool. So now it does show me that variable as available. Interesting. So let's say generate keywords or SEO keywords on this topic. And let's click that. Okay, so very cool. Did that. Then step 2. Okay, so that we would want to change, but it's okay for now. So let's say generate a blog post outline using these keywords. So it's the result of step 2. Then I'm going to say above the outline, please write the keywords as a list, just to make sure, like I did before, that it actually works. And I'll change this to 10,000 max tokens. Store output as a variable. Oh, interesting, variable name. So I wonder if I go back and edit this one, if I store output as a variable of keywords, if that will work here. I don't know if it's actually using that feature right now. But either way, it does have that essentially as an output, which is what I wanted. So this just might not be kind of used, basically. Okay. So variable name, I can add new ones if I want, but topic, AI app builders. Okay, let's execute the chain, and let's see if Lovable works. I mean, each of them are a little bit different, so I like how Lovable kind of did that. This step, I like how I can see where it is. And keywords, it didn't. It seems like it just used that. Okay. Nope, did not work. So same issue we're having on both. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is it says it's getting this file is getting large. It's asking to refactor. So I'm going to do that. Maybe that'll help. I like how that's something Lovable does that Bolt doesn't do. All right, so Bolt says that it fixed it. AI app builders, generate the keywords. At the top, show me the list of keywords exactly. We're going to switch this to it says the previous is available as step 1, which makes more sense anyway. And let's see how it does this time. So I'll run the chain. It did this very quickly, and now it should be generating this one. All right, this may have worked. It actually did give me keywords, but I'm wondering if it is the same. What I'm going to do to test this actually better, so for the second one, I'm going to say create a detailed outline using these keywords, because otherwise it wouldn't know what the topic is. Because I know that this topic part is working, but I don't know for sure that the keywords is working. So I'm going to try that. I'll run that chain again. While it's doing that, let's go back to Lovable. So Lovable, it said it refactored it, so we didn't actually build anything different. But what I'm going to say is, using the output from the previous step didn't seem to work. Please make sure using that variable from the previous step works better. Also rename it so it's easier to know what step. Use step 1, or use the name of the step as the variable. Okay, so while it's doing that, let's go back to Bolt. And again, that's what I was worried about. It doesn't seem to work. So I'm going to just actually take a screenshot and paste this. I'm going to say, here is the result using the step 1 syntax. It still doesn't work, as you can see. Please fix this. Okay, let's see if that works. So it's just debugging, going back and forth. Seems to think to know why it's happening. So Lovable says it fixed it. Let's edit the outline step and generate a blog post outline using these keywords. So I'll click keywords, max tokens 5,000. Okay, exit out, and let's try it again. Let's go back to Bolt. So there's just some issues. We'll have it fix that. Okay, so we're back in Lovable, and it appears that it actually did work. We have the blog post outline. It used these keywords because it seems relevant. So it seems like it worked. Let's try with a different, interesting, what is that? Here are some SEO keywords. So I don't know what's going on there. But it seems like it worked. So it's close. Let's try a different topic just to see how it does. So let's say kitchen gadgets. Just something random, and let's execute the chain. So we're back in Bolt. It says that it works now. Let's do the topic we'll do the same one, kitchen gadgets. Topic and step 1. So let's try it. And then let's go back here. Okay, it seems like Lovable is working now, at least for this prompt chain. We have keywords, and then we have outline. That's pretty awesome. Okay, the only thing I'm going to say is I wanted to fix that. So on the top global variables, after running a chain, it seems like it's putting like the result. It seems like the result of step 1 is in an input field. That shouldn't be the case, so we can remove that input field from the variables section. So just something like a little bug. I don't really know why it did that, but it did. I can rename the chain, blog post, outline generator. Okay, and here we are back in Bolt, and it seems like it did work. It allowed us to have the variable, step 1, and then the results, kitchen gadgets, and then for keyword generation, and then I know I'm only using the result of that for this outline, and that worked as well. And I like how Bolt is showing, like, in Markdown correctly, so it's just a little bit easier to read. But I like that. It actually worked really well. That's kind of amazing. Okay, so it removed that like we wanted on Lovable. So funny enough, they both kind of worked at the exact same time. So the way that they're set up is a little bit different. They both do a good job, actually. It both seems to work. So the next thing I want to do is make this a little bit more complicated and built out. So actually, the first thing I should do is connect Bolt to Supabase to make sure that that is all working correctly. So I'm going to click Connect to Supabase. It does charge me, but I'll cancel it later on. While it's doing that, let's go back to Lovable. And what I want to do is, let's actually just make one more little update, because it seems like for some reason the execution on here, fix the execution even after the last step is done, it still says it's not done on the UI. So we'll fix that real quick. And then the next thing I want to build is the ability to save chains, have a page where I can view all the chains and go to all the chains. So it's going to make it a little bit more complicated, but I think it's going to be a cool feature to build and kind of build this out from just like a little tool here to something that I could build chains and save them for later. So it seems like it fixed that, which is cool. I can try it one more time. I'll just execute it again. And of course, there's little UI things, but okay. So then it says it's on the last one. And all right, it's still finalizing the setup to Supabase over here. It takes up to 5 minutes. So while it's doing that, I'll go back to Lovable. Okay, there we go. Check all chain. Okay, that's kind of cool. All right, awesome. Okay, so next, let's come up with a prompt for this. All right, so what the prompt is, pretty simple. Now I want the ability to save chains, have a page to view all chains and click into them. On the chain page, a button to go back to all chains on the individual prompt chain page. Okay, so I'm going to copy that just so I can use it later. And let's see how Lovable does with this feature here. All right, so it did that, which is great. So now I'm going to say I want to save my OpenAI key to the app directly instead of having users enter theirs in. Okay. It's kind of nice that you can just enter it in on the front end, but I want to build it in on the back end so it's the same as Lovable. All right, now we're back to Lovable, and I need to apply changes from the SQL command, which is going to give us the ability to store tables and things. So I say I reviewed the SQL and it looks good. Please run it. Now here back in Bolt, it's saying I just need to add the OpenAI key to my .env file. That's where you add the OpenAI key. So I'm going to do that really quickly. So I just pasted in my OpenAI key. Now in a production environment, you should handle the API key more securely by making requests through your backend server rather than exposing it in the front end. That makes sense, but right now I will leave it like it is. Go back to preview. So let's just test that. Actually, let's just go ahead and add the feature that we asked for before. So now I'm going to say now with the ability to do this. So I just pasted the exact same prompt, and it's going to add chain management. So it's running into some build errors. We'll try to fix it. All right, so Lovable says it seems to work. Let's click New Chain, back to change, exactly what I want. Let's name this Blog Outline Generator, just like I did before. We can add a step, 2 steps, variable name, topic, initial value. Let's say for now we'll do gardening tips. Okay, so we'll make our first step. I don't like this setup quite as much as I like how Bolt did it, just because it's like a little small, but that could be improved. So let's say step 1, generate keywords. I don't know why the available variables isn't showing up. Oh, I have to click add variable. Okay, a little tricky there, but not that hard. Okay, generate keywords for this topic. Topic, SEO, generate 10 SEO keywords for this topic. Okay, cool. And again, I don't think it's using that, but we'll exit out. And then I'll say generate outline. Generate an outline on for a blog post using these keywords. Step 1. All right, cool. Exit out. So let's just test it first. Well, first I'll click Save Chain. Nothing happens, so let's just quickly go back and shoot. That's a little frustrating because it does take a minute or two to do that. So I'm going to say saving the chain did not work. All right, so while it's doing that, let's go back to Bolt. All right, so it looks like it's getting closer. There's some potential problems. Let's try to see. It says it seems like it may have resolved them. Let's see. Let's refresh and just see if there's any issues. Okay, seems like it's working. So I have this. I can click. Nope, I cannot click into that. So I'll try to. Interesting. Let me try to refresh the page. So here we are in Bolt, and I'll click in. It tells me when I saved it. Interesting. I wonder if I change, just like add anything here. It looks like it's automatically saving, which is kind of cool. Blog post generator. So let's just say I add a step. I'll go down to the bottom. Step 3, write blog post. I'll say write blog post based on this outline. And I'll say step 2. Okay. And let's say in HTML. And the output format will be HTML. Max tokens, let's say 1,500. And now let's run chain. Please fill in all variable. Oh, okay, perfect. It didn't. So let's say gardening tips. Okay, run chain. So while it's doing that, let's go back to Lovable. And now let's see if I click new chain. Let's add a step. Let's just see if I can save it. It says it was saved. Let's say example chain. Click save. Go back. And now it is there, which is cool. Let's just make sure. So let's build this out real quick. I'll pause so you don't have to watch me. I'm just going to say I accidentally put in the wrong keyword name. So I'm going to say, give me the ability to delete global variables. So while it's doing that, let's go back to Bolt. It looks like we created our keyword, our outline, and our blog post. Pretty cool. I think it just ran out of tokens because I only said 1,500 limit. But this did work, which is pretty cool. And let's go back to chains. 3 steps. If I go back in, it still has the 3 steps that I had, which is awesome. Let's create a new chain. I can create multiple. Can I delete chains? I don't think so. So I'm going to say, give me the ability to delete chains. Okay, so it added the ability to delete the variables, which I wanted, which I can now do. Amazing. Variable name, let's say I want it to be, okay, so it was supposed to be topic. Add variable, the topic is gardening, tips, keyword, so let's edit this, generate keywords for SEO for this topic. Okay, exit, new step, outline. Generate an SEO optimized outline for these keywords. All right, perfect. I'm going to click Save Chain. So if I go back, example chain, I should rename this blog post outline. Click Save Chain, go back, and it just takes a second to load, and here they are. It is all saved. So let's try it out. I have the topic in there. Let's click execute chain and see how it does. And now here we are back in Bolt. It added that delete, so I can delete it. And cool. We could improve that messaging, but overall that worked. Let's click into the new chain. Have to add some steps. And let's do something completely different. So let's think about what we could do here. So why don't we do a story generation chain? Don't know if I have the ability here to change the name. So why don't I say, give me the ability to edit the name of the chain. So let's do that real quick. All right, so supposedly this works now. Oh, interesting. That's how they're having me do it. I don't love that. I like it better here, but okay, fine. This will be story generation. Let's say step 1 is generate a story premise about this topic. So I can add topic, and then that shows up there, which is pretty cool. And then generate a conflict or challenge for this story premise. And then we'll do step 1. Okay, definitely ways to like slightly improve the UI here, but overall, pretty impressed with it. And yeah, okay, topic. The topic will be, let's say, and also like how it auto saves in Bolt. So the topic, let's say it is AI or a startup founder building an AI tool. Okay, let's run the chain. And while it's doing that, just pause the video. All right, so we have a cool little step 1 here, and then the conflict challenge, and it did it. So now if we go back to chains, we can see we have blog post generator, and then we have story generator. So they both are saved and they both work. And here we are back in Lovable, and it successfully worked. So we can go back to chains. We could create a new chain. I'll just name this test chain 2, save it, go back, and now we have test chain 2. So they are actually both working pretty well. I don't know which one I like better. I like both of them. There's certain things I like more about Bolt, and there's certain things I like more about the Lovable version. So if I were continuing to build this, I'm going to pause there because I think that's enough, but hopefully this shows you how powerful these tools are, and these can build more than just to-do list apps. There's a lot more that we could do with this, but I'll stop now. Things that I would potentially build next, I would build user authentication, so each user can have their own chain. I would allow users to share those chains with other people, maybe make them public, so there can be templates that you can easily use based on job function. Maybe we could even use AI to generate some chains. That could be kind of cool. We could also have each chain have different abilities, have the ability each step in the chain to use a different model, maybe even use functionality like search, things like that. But overall, I think this is pretty cool. I'm actually going to keep thinking about this. Maybe I'll build it into a real tool. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed watching this. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to get more free content like this right here on YouTube. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or any ideas of what we should build in the future. And be sure to check out the link in the description to go to Lovable or Bolt or No Code MBA if you want to watch in-depth tutorials on how to build with AI and no code. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.